I believe every human being was born to be great. I believe no human being wants to be mediocre.
All I can say about Jay is I've known him for 35 years, and for 4.5 decades, he has been the go-to guy to optimize your business.
Jay is one of the top people on the planet who knows how to maximize a business and its reach to his customer.
You're watching Strategic Edge with Jay Abraham, exclusively on ASBN.
Jay Abraham, thank you so much for once again joining me on the Strategic Edge with Jay Abraham. It's such a pleasure. We're getting so many great responses and positive comments from our viewers and our subscribers. So thank you so much. Looking forward to today's show.
It's always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to today's show because we never know what will come out.
That's right. There you go. So what we want to talk about today, Jay, is when you're sitting in on those business conversations, and I know you have been in hundreds, if not thousands, of them in your time. Maybe it's a sales call or a negotiation, or maybe it's a strategy meeting. What's the first thing that you notice people getting wrong the moment they start asking questions?
Well, I think the majority of people don't have the capacity to start with the human and the deep personal side of a person.
Okay.
I always try to want to know what that person is all about. I try to engage that person authentically, not superficially or pandering to them about, I want to know about them. I want to know how they got there. I want to know, what their job entails. I want to know things that most people either are uninterested, unwilling, afraid to ask, because when you engage somebody, before you get to the heavy duty, the avaricious and the monetization stuff, you open them up, and the more they communicate authentically, the more invested they are in the relationship.
Sure, absolutely. So break it down for me a little bit. What if a good question has a few ingredients? What actually makes one up?
Well, if you and I met, probably the first time we did meet, I wanted to know about you. I thought, before we talk, tell me about this business. Tell me how it got started. Tell me what you're trying to do. Tell me, when you do an interview like this, what is the outcome you want for your audience? Tell me some of the better ones you've done and how they basically unfolded. Tell me some of the key distinctions you've seen really resonate with the audience. Tell me some of the things that really are turnoffs to them and to you, and also tell me, what else you're trying to do with this. So I ask a lot of questions sort of concurrently.
Mm-hmm. So why does this matter so much? If someone actually gets good at this, what changes for them in doing this?
I think a number of things change, Jim. First of all, the depth and the connectivity you establish with the other side or sides is pretty profound. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the trust that occurs from that is already more immediate. Third, you understand what rocks them. It's different if you go to somebody's office and they have a picture of a boat, or they have a picture of a hunting scenario. The first thing you say, "Oh, you love to hunt? Tell me." But they really don't get deep into it. If I saw that, I'd say, it's interesting. I'm assuming, but I don't know. You might be putting that. I would make almost a joke and say, I don't know if you don't put that up just so people will hit on it. You hate hunting. Is that true? And I would then say, if they go, no, I really love hunting. I'd say, well, what do you hunt for? Where do you hunt? I've never hunted. But, what's it like? What's a hunt entail? Do you do it by yourself? Do you go with people? What kind of guns? Or,
sure.
I've heard, there's all kinds of shotguns. What are you trying to do? When, what's your rate? When you go out, do you hit 100%? You bring back 5 bison or 3 quails, and what do you do with them? And then I will talk about the fact that I've eaten quail before, and I bit into 5 pieces of shot and almost broke my teeth. And I said, how do you clean them? And how do you, I would just want to ask.
Sure.
But I am very curious.
Yeah.
But nobody asks those kinds of questions.
No, they don't. They usually get right to the point, right to the deal, right to the negotiations, right to the meat of the heart of the matter, I should say. And you're right. I think we all too often breeze over what could be the most important part of the conversation, and that is getting to know one another, right?
Yeah. Oh, I call it the human connection. But when you have the human connection, you get a hall pass, and by that I mean, if you don't have a human connection, you get tough, no nonsense. Give me the bottom line.
Right.
That's a hard position to start with.
Yes, it is.
But if you already have a trust, they give you a lot of latitude to build the case a lot slower and deeper. And it's very strategic, but it's also very interesting. When you're really curious and you learn about these people, it's fascinating. It bonds you. A lot of people, when you take them back in their history, their origin story, their fundamental basis for how they got into something, whether it's a career, a hobby, anything, it was a really fun memory for them. So it stimulates very positive, whatever you call it, in their mind, and that's another additive. It's not meant to be manipulative, but you have all these multi-positive dynamics going on if you can take the time and you're not in a hurry just to get to the bottom line.
Right. Build that commonality, and it also allows you. It kind of opens the door for you to share a little bit of your life experiences. Right. How many kids you have, or grandkids, or where you vacation, or like you were saying to that in that hunting situation. I've never hunted, but what kind of guns do you use, and all of a sudden it starts that two-way conversation, right, about anything but the deal.
Yeah, because there's so much going on behind the eyes and the mouth. And I want to basically, for two reasons. With very little exceptions, I find human beings fascinating, interesting. I learn from them because I don't have the same worldview. And when I understand how they see life, it dimensionalizes me more. But also, the more I appreciate them, not just for their role or their job or their ability to give me a purchase order, but I see them as human beings that have hopes, dreams, all kinds of factors.
Sure.
And I'm wondering, we're doing this for entrepreneurs, so we can give some scenarios, but I'm wondering, because you're also very gracious in sharing it with car dealers, I'm wondering how many salespeople really try to connect deeply with their prospective buyers.
Not enough. Not enough. Many times the salesperson, gets into a situation where they're simply answering the questions that the customer throws at them in the first 5 minutes of the meeting. And they don't spend enough time building that common ground. They'll go right into, well, is that the best price? Well, has this got, what kind of features does this have? And does it have a sunroof? And has it got leather? And it keeps the conversation many times very sterile instead of a warm, friendly greeting, or the what should be a good relationship between the consumer and the salesperson.
I couldn't agree more. If you think about business, any kind of business, I analogize it to the scales of justice. We've talked about this before. That blind woman that is, that represents the courts.
Right.
What you really want is to gain every ethical advantage you can, and one of the most ethical advantages that differentiates you is connectivity, and it's the investment that not you make, but that they make in the relationship.
Yeah.
All things being equal, there's probably many vendors, many service people you deal with who aren't the best price, but you have such
100%. Yes.
Humanized relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
It's worth the premium. Well, if you're in a commodity business and you're trying to get a price that is either above everyone else or even just get the deal, the advantage of being bonded to your prospect it's incalculable, Jim.
It is. There's no question about it. I even have people that work for me either at the house, whether it be a lawn company or pool company, whatever the case might be. I don't even think they do the best job that's available out there. But I've built a relationship with these individuals over the course of the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years that's my pool guy. That's the one that I count on. And we've built a relationship. I know I know something about his kids and where they've gone to college or whatever the case might be. And you just build those long-lasting relationships. And, of course, you're very You're much more forgiving when maybe they cleaned the pool on the wrong day, or they didn't do the best job in the world. You're not as apt to jump on the phone and say, let me grab another pool company, get them in here, right?
Yeah, absolutely on point. And you just gave me a very interesting perspective I hadn't thought about. This goes two ways, a two-way valve. It's totally important when you're selling, but it's equally important when you're buying. Now that sounds really a little confusing, so let me articulate. If you're buying from a vendor, whether it's a one-time or whether it's a repetitive type of a relationship, the more connected you are to him or her, the more they're going to give you value, they're going to give you priority attention, they're going to give you responsiveness, they're going to give you access, they're going to give you information. And most people are in a hurry just to squeeze everybody down.
That's right. That's right. That's the importance of building that relationship before you get into, actually working on the project or pitching the contract or pitching the deal or talking numbers. Can't say enough about it.
Yeah, I have a document. I will find it, give it to you. You can put it with the show notes. I believe we called it How to Ask Great Questions and Get Even Greater Answers and Opportunities. And it basically is a personification of what I was influenced by. I learned Socratic interviewing. Mm-hmm. Socrates was brilliant at starting to ask a question and not being in a hurry, because he knew that he would hit pay dirt, and he was not in a hurry to get there because he knew he would get there.
Yeah.
And he would just basically take an answer to its next logical, curious, level. And I love Socratic interviewing. It's not rushed. It has an agenda, but it's sort of, if you think about it, you can travel many ways, but the most joyous way, if you travel in a cruise ship, it's a lot more visual than if you travel in a bus.
Right.
And so if you're trying to understand question answering, first thing is you want to know the person. The next thing I believe is you want to ask questions at a depth of understanding that no one else can. It's a little bit difficult. I have a great advantage. When you've been involved in 1,000 totally different industries, and it's not superficial, you've had to help the owners really solve problems, and you'd have to understand all the mechanics and the mechanisms that drive the business and the decision making that goes on and the criteria people buy on and what happens when the product is deployed and all the alternative equivalents. You can talk to almost anybody and you can ask them deeper, more relatable questions than anybody else has, because they really don't try to understand that whole scope. So I call it the holistic dynamic that applies. So I would say to anybody who is in a position, and really questioning and answering is part of almost any interaction you're going to have with anybody for any reason, whether you're managing people, whether you're motivating people, whether you're trying to hire people, whether you're trying to, and you're selling and buying at the same time.
That's right. That's right. Asking the right questions, asking the questions at all. I mean, building that relationship is so vitally important to finalizing the deal, and we bypass it all too often. It's great advice, and I know that our viewers are going to get a lot out of today's discussion. So, Jay Abraham, thank you so much for once again joining us on The Strategic Edge.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Strategic Edge with Jay Abraham, exclusively on ASBN.